Alright, your thumbnail is one of the most important things that you can do for your video, and the reason for that is if somebody doesn't click on your thumbnail, they never see your video. So you can have the best content in the world, and if you can't get the click, you won't get the view. So we're going to work on thumbnails, and I'm going to be using Canva. In the very beginning, don't try to get too fancy. I'm going to show you just the basics so you can learn how to make a thumbnail. So this is for complete beginners. And then as we go on, we'll have more videos that teach you how to do the more fancy stuff in that. I'm going to be using the free version, and we'll jump in here to the computer. So this is the home screen, and you can see recent designs down here. If this is your first time using Canva, you won't have anything down here, obviously. But as you start to make different thumbnails and videos, and you can do all kinds of stuff on Canva. We'll get into that later. But your designs will be down here. Now up here in this area, this is where the commonly used stuff is, and you can see I've got Instagram and YouTube thumbnail right there. So some of it might pop up right here, so just kind of check right in there. And if you hover over the YouTube thumbnail, it'll tell you that it's 1280 by 720. And that's our landscape, and not 1080 like this, but a little smaller, but the same aspect ratio. And that's what you need for YouTube. If you try to upload a file that's too big for the thumbnail, YouTube will say it's too big and it won't accept it. So just go in here, YouTube thumbnail, and you use that, and we export it as a JPEG. We'll get to that at the end of the video. Then it's going to be just fine for YouTube. Now you can use this thumbnail for other social media like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. But if you want to do the shorts, right now on YouTube they don't let you upload a thumbnail for your shorts. That might change. They just changed the YouTube short length from 1 minute to 3 minutes. That's starting to roll out in the next few weeks, so they might be changing the thumbnail thing too. But right now you can't do it on YouTube. Facebook and Instagram, you can upload a thumbnail, and it can be your portrait mode, and what you would do is actually make one that's 720 by 720 by 1280, so your portrait. And also TikTok, you can upload a thumbnail there that size also. But right now we're just going to show you this one, YouTube thumbnail, and then we'll go into all the other ones in different videos and that. But after you get the basics, you'll know how to do the other ones. Alright, so when you first get on there, it's going to pop up. You've got your blank canvas here, and you've got some templates over here. We'll go ahead and click through a couple templates. I don't really use these. I use my own, but if you're just starting out, this is a great way to just start out and just pick one. Now you see right here it says Pro. When I hover over that, that's if you have a paid account. And then when you see these that don't, those are the ones for the free version. So like I said, I don't use a lot of templates, but let's just click on one of these that's free, Pro. Here's one up here that's free. Okay, now if you hover over the thumbnail, the template, you're going to see all these little blue boxes popping up. Those are all different elements, and you can change all of these. So like you've got this picture here, you click on it and see it highlights the little cropped area, and this is just like other videos and other software. You can just pull on those, change the size. Right up here you've got a little box. You can duplicate it in case you want to do several of them. You might need clones. You could do this. It might not be a picture of a person. It could be a plant or something, right? And you could take it, and up here you can hit flip, horizontal or vertical. And then you can have two, so you can just mirror your stuff like that. Then if you don't need it, you can click on here, delete. So let's just get rid of this for now. So that's just a picture. That could be your portrait. So you take your picture somewhere on a blank background and go ahead and remove the background. I'll show you how to do that in here, and then you can put your own picture in here. So we'll get to that in a second. I want to show you all these different elements right here. So each one of these is a different element. You can click on it and move it. So that's just a text. and this is just a box. And we'll show you all those elements and all that too. Now each one of these you can change, so whenever you click on it, you can do the same thing. You can duplicate it if you want, you can delete it, and then you can also click on here, and you've got a whole drop down menu, all your copy and paste and stuff. You've also got, you can align it to the center, up and down, so if you hit center, it's going to go to the center of the page, so you don't have to guess where the center is at. And anytime if you move something and you get confused and you decided you didn't really mean to do that, you can hit Control Z and it'll go right back to where it was. If you click on that, up here you're going to see the same color. This is one of the things you can change, is the color. You click on that and it'll open up your box over here, and you've got a whole palette of colors that you can pick from. Anyone that you click on will change it to that color. We'll talk later. This more advanced is a brand kit. This would be your colors. If you get your different logos and your colors and everything that you use for your brand, you can upload it to Canva, and if you create an account, then it'll save it so that you can have your certain colors that you use in case they're not like just the default colors, and those will come up all the time. They've also got this down here, cool little gradients. So it kind of changes the color in that instead of just being solid. So all different kind of cool stuff. Like I said, just go into here and just play around with all of this stuff. And if you use like one of these templates and it's not your own stuff that you're messing around with, you just play around with it. Alright, now this is your text. You can also click on your text and you can do just like you did with that. There's all these different things you can change up here. This will change the size of your text. You can go up or down, or you can just click on it and just pick whatever size you want. If it gets too big, like I said, you just play around with all of this stuff. Just drag out your little corners like that, and you can resize stuff. Pretty cool. Now, what else you can do is change the font right here. Click that. All your fonts will come up on the side. You just go on and look through that. It's all pretty self-explanatory. Pick your font that you like. Right, so now we change the font, right? And then another thing you can do is change the color. What I like to do is highlight everything. Otherwise it might just change like the aspect of just one letter at a time. And you click up here is the color. Like we said, so if you change that color just like you did your box, you can change your colors. If you get your brand colors in here, they'll be in here. If not, you can just pick any color that you want. Like just say we go with some red, yellow, orange, right? And then when you click off of it, you're going to see it's changed to orange. So you can change it to whatever color you want, and you can see there's a little shadow behind there. It's just something else to play with. So up here along the top is your toolbox. They've got effects. Click on that. And all effects come up over here. Now this effect that you're seeing on here right now is shadow. And if it's got a shadow, it's got little drag bars here that you can mess around with. If you see the offset is changing on that one, right? The direction, it's right now going to one side, now it's going to the other side. So you can change where you want your shadow, which way you want shadow to go. The blur, instead of a hard shadow, you've got a blur. And the transparency. So you can take this like way down if you just want it subtle, or you can make it really sharp like that. So those are the ones to play with, and then of course you've got your color down here. You click on that and you can change the color of your shadow. So say you just want it black, just click that. So lots of stuff to play with. Like I said, this is highly customizable, and you guys can see just within a few minutes, you know, all the stuff that we've been changing already. All right, so just slow down the video and go back if you want, and play around with different things. So that's how you're going to get here. Alright, so that's how you do different fonts. That's how you do different colors, the elements. Let me show you how to get those up there if you don't have a template. So we're going to get rid of all of this. Oh, one thing I want to show you before we get rid of it. You saw how I was pulling the word out of here? And each one of these is a different element. Say you played around and you got all those just right, and that's how you want it. You know, obviously not what I did to the top, but say you wanted this down here is just right, and you don't want to mess around, you're afraid you're going to mess it up and move it somewhere, right? You can go through and highlight them all. And see how I did that? If I click off, each one of them is by itself, right? Now if I click and drag, oops, that's the background. If I click and drag over all of them, now you see the box highlights all of them and see all the blue boxes. So that means that all of them are moving together now. So I can't move just the how-to by itself anymore. I've grouped these together like that. Now that's just highlighting them, and you can move them around. If you want it to stay like that, you go ahead and hit group. Right here it says group. If you don't see group there, you can go ahead and do the drop down menu and you see it. So we'll hit group. Now you see there's only one box, right, over the whole thing. So say you got that right, now you don't have to worry about it. You can move it around. And say that you wanted it a little smaller. If you had all those different elements, 8 different elements, you'd have to go through and resize each one, right, to get it right. Now you group the whole thing together. Now you can take this and drag it, and now you can go ahead and resize the whole thing at once. So that's just really cool. This is just like basic stuff on here, and there's so much other stuff that you can do, but I want to show you, you know, just basic stuff for you to get on. You might have a little bit of text on your thumbnail, you might not, and we're going to show you how to put stuff here from nothing. So what we're going to do is, this is a background. We're just going to get rid of everything and show you guys all the way from the very beginning. Here, we're going to hit add page. If you want to try a couple different thumbnails, you do this. Say, okay, this is kind of turning out all right, but I'm not sure, you know, that's the direction I want to go. Let me try something else. So we're going to add page, and you can start all over. So we're going to start one here. Now say you were doing this and you're like, okay, I might want to try a couple different ideas, but I don't want to lose this idea. What you can do is go up here where it says duplicate. So you can duplicate that page. So now you got another one to play with down here. While up here, this original one's still here. Now if you don't want to mess around with this one and accidentally click on anything, for the time being you can go up here and put lock. And now see, none of this moves. I can't move any of this. So now all of this is locked, so that one's up there, that one's safe. Now you can come down here and play around with this one. And see how the light's moving? We got the light, the shadow at the top. With all of that, now we can hit ungroup, click off of it, and actually get the light. That's the background. Move this over. And see, this is how you can just play with different things. Now I can just group this stuff here. Group. Right? Then I can move the light. Because before it was real subtle, right? See those yellow lines? It's really stark. Like that was kind of subtle. And you can make it bigger if you want. So now I can play around with this element in the back. And now I've got my title that I can move around. Right? Resize that if I want. And all the while I didn't change the original one up here. So if I want to go back to that, say I just totally mess this up and you know, the idea that I had wasn't working out, I still have the original one. So just do stuff like that. So we're going to leave this and we're going to jump down here to a completely blank one and show you guys how to do it. One thing you can do is like upload like your own pictures. Now, uploads. So if you upload any, this is where it'll be. You can see these are all my pictures here, right? All you have to do is hit upload files, and a little window will pop up. You find it on your computer and it uploads it here. You can also take your file and drag and drop it right here and it'll start to upload it. So once you get a picture uploaded, all you have to do is click on it, and it gets sent over to the canvas. If you want that to be your background and stretched out, right click and hit set as background. Boom, and now it's the right size. That right there I can export, and that can be my thumbnail. Okay, so now say, okay, I want to add a couple things onto that. One thing we can add is text, like what we were doing. You saw text, right? So we go over here on the left, and we'll find text. Click on text. So you can hit add a text box. Here's the brand kit. This is like advanced stuff we'll get into later. So you can either add a text box, or here's some that are different sizes. So if you know it's going to be a little bigger text that you want, or if you want smaller text, you can just hit these. It'll just automatically pop up. You can see that size. If you don't like that, you can hit Control Z and it'll take it right back off. You can hit add a text box. That'll just pop up with basic stuff. And now this, you can go ahead and type whatever you want. We're just going to put test. Okay. And then you can go up here, like I said, highlight all of them. And this is where you can go ahead and start changing the colors just like we did before. So you go on here, I can change it to white. I can change the font. Click on font. We'll make it like that. We can change the size, right? We can change the effects. Okay, the other one was outline, right? So we hit outline, and you can see it's got a gray outline. I can make that gray black. I can go and do all the stuff that we said you can do on here. You can go down and choose whatever color. Purple. And then right here you can do the thickness. Make it bigger or smaller. Let's see, splice, hollow, lift, shadow, it's just a small shadow, and then none. If you don't want anything, go back to none. And here's the background. If you've seen any other background like that, you can change the roundness. You can change the spread, we'll bring it in closer. And you can change the transparency. So if you still want to see some of the stuff in the background, but see if it kind of highlights it a little bit so you can see the text a little bit better instead of a big black box. And then you can change the color of the box right here too to whatever color you want. Down here's one more thing, is shape. Say we typed out something a little bit bigger than this. Let's just do something like that. And the font will look a little better if it's a little skinnier. Let's do Comic Sans. Now say we did something like that. Let's go back to the effects. And way down here on the bottom, they've got curved. And you can actually curve it. And with this, you can go ahead and make it like just a little curve. And you can curve it the other way if you need it to curve up. So really cool. Then after you do all that, you can click on it. And move it around if you want, wherever you need. And from there, like we said, you can always resize it, move it, put it just where you want. Alright, so that is your background picture. We've got some words. Now let's put the elements. Now when you saw the box, like this one has the element where it just puts a shadow box behind of it. Say you wanted like a circle, or you wanted a different shape, or a star, or just something else behind it there. They've got these other things over here called elements. And the same thing with all of these. Just make sure whatever you're clicking doesn't have this little crown on it. That's the pro version, so you have to pay for it. So make sure that there's nothing on it. Here's different shapes that you can use if you've seen arrows. Now this is a pro one, but I use an arrow a lot. It's pretty cool. So if you use the paid version, it's just that easy to put in an arrow and say you want to draw attention to something, like you want them to look at that, right? That's a good thing for thumbnails. We'll get into strategies that you can use for thumbnails later. I just want to show you different elements in that you can do. If you don't like that, gone. Alright, shapes right here. Click on that and you've got all kinds of lines. Like I said, so if you wanted a box with some words, you can always just make your own. There's several ways to do all kinds of different things on here, and you can get yours just the right size and shape. In case the one that came with this, the background wasn't working just right, you can make your own. You can always click on it, delete it if you want, and you've got different shapes in that too. So you notice that it's orange. That's because I used orange for the background here, so it figured out that I'm using the color scheme like that. If you don't have a color scheme yet, it'll probably just pop up as black, and you can always go up here for the color and change it to whatever you like. Here's a cool thing right here too, photo colors. It'll look in your picture and it'll see different colors that are in your picture, and it'll give you suggestions for colors that might match with your color scheme. So you might not want to, use any of these, but it's telling you, there's greens, and it even says like our background that we had before. It still has that in there. So you can resize these and drag and drop them and do whatever you like to. You might just need a little something, over here or something, and you can delete it. Alright, so that's different shapes. You can look for if you need arrows. If you think of any element that you might need and you don't really know what to look for, check over in elements and say you just wanted an arrow. You see some arrows, you can put them over there. They say lines, but say you wanted arrows, right? Now you can see I've already typed in arrow. So you just type arrow there, and it's going to give you some different arrows. So you take those arrows, resize them however you want, change the color. You can tilt them with that little bar right there. So that way if you want them to look at that, take it and tilt it the way you want, straight on, at an angle, whatever you like. Change the color, make it look a little more like red, like really look at this. Now if you can't find the color that you like in one of these, and say you're looking for a really dark red, then go up here and hit this one with the plus, and you're going to be able to drag it around. So down here, red, yellow, green. See, changing colors. So you go to the spectrum you want. We want it in red, and then you got a little dot up here, and you can drag it around. You can make it the darkest red. You can make it black, and all the way over to gray. So see it changing colors. So you can pull this around into here and find the one that you want. So that's the darkest red they've got. And they've got gradient too. So you can go around and play with those. So whatever color you had, if you want it to be a gradient of those colors. So this is going from red to purple, and say we wanted it from red to orange. We'll just click on that. And we want like a lighter orange. Like that. So now we're going from red to the orange. You can see right there. So lots of stuff you guys can play with. You can already see, this isn't like a real thumbnail or whatever, but you can see how that can already be like, I want people to look at this one here. This is actually a picture I'm using on one of my upcoming videos. And up here you can put like something, what's the difference in these two plants, or one's with nutrients and one's with not, how not to grow a plant, whatever your title is, and something catchy you can put right up here. So this can be part of your video. Now another thing, let me show you how to put your picture in real quick. So this is basic stuff, getting your pictures. You can pull a picture in. We've got words, we've got different elements that you can use. Go over here to this menu on the left, just click around and look at different things. Here's a draw. You know, I don't think you would use this on a thumbnail, but if you need to, it's there. Remember, Control Z takes you back. You've got all of your uploads. So this is where all your pictures that you upload will be. You've got videos that you can upload to and audio when you start doing different things. And let's see, photos. You can go to photos. Now here, say we're going to do microgreens. I can go into here and search the photos, microgreens, and it's going to bring up a bunch of pictures of microgreens. Now, these all say Pro, so be careful which ones you pick. Now I'm on the Pro version. I think it's like $17 a month, 12 or 17. And here's one right here. It's not the Pro version. You can either stretch that out yourself, whatever size you want, or you can hit right click, replace background, and all of a sudden you've got a new background. So now we're completely changing things up. Now if you remember, you could have just made another duplicate it, you know, before we did that, if you weren't sure about it. Or you can go up here, Control Z, and go right back to where we were. So, like I said, if you want to play around with it, duplicate it, just in case if you don't want to mess that one up, come down here and then you can play around with everything. Pop that in there, replace background. All of a sudden we've got something different. Now let's go back to our uploads. One more quick thing, like I said, there's thousands of things you can do on here. It's just really crazy. Let's find a picture of someone. See, I've got my face covered there. But let me show you how this works. I'm going to go find another one. This isn't a good one because it's so busy. There's a lot of busy stuff in there. But right here you've got background remover. And I'm not sure this is on the paid version, so you might not have that. But it might be over here. If you click on it and you click on edit. Yeah, this is on the Pro version. So if you get the Pro version, this is why I use it, is because you can take something like this and with one click, I can click up here, background remover, or click over here and see how quick that was, and the background's gone. Now I can take that and just use that myself. Let's go ahead and move this into another one too. Let's duplicate, or let's just get another, add a page. This is how I do with my thumbnails and play around. Sometimes I just copy and I don't want to mess around with it, paste. So I'm showing you just all kind of different things you can do. So now we got a blank background, right? Now with that, what I can do is hit edit again. The background remover, see the little bars here? That's your adjustments. You click on that, and now I can go in and either erase or restore. So see, I've got the candle showing up right there. It's got erase. I can change my brush size. So see, the brush size is small or big, right? And I can go in and say, I didn't really want that showing. Take that out. Now if I went through and did that and say I accidentally went over my arm a little and slit, do Control Z and it'll take you back one. Now if there was something showing and say didn't show the candle and I did want it to show, you could hit restore. The only thing is this is going to do what's in this entire circle. See that? So you would have to come in here and change your brush size, and then you can do erase, make your brush size smaller. So it's a lot of tedious work, but it is possible. You can come in and just do like this and just go around and so that's just a quick thing. But as far as this just being a background, let's just do this. So you can see you can spend a whole lot of time on that and be real finicky, but when you're done, hit back, right? So the candle's gone. And see up here, the candle's still there. So that's just something you can do. Now let's go ahead and delete that since I have it in my face. Now let's just go over here to images, photos. Okay, instead of that, just say, let's just put someone in there like a gardener. All right, here's one right here. Some of them will have with the background already removed. That one's a pro one, so just be careful. Like I said, if you go to export it, it's going to tell you have to pay for it. Now some of them that don't, like say this one doesn't, this one has a background, right? You can always put it in there, hit background remover, and the background's gone. Now see the top of his hat's missing. You want to stretch it out so it looks like he's in that picture. Alright, so basically that, I mean, we've went over a lot of stuff, so I'm going to do more videos and go more into depth, and we're going to talk about strategies and everything like that. But just get into Canva, get the free version, play around with different things like that. And one last thing I want to show you is that you can adjust things, because this you can play around with for hours on all of your stuff. You click on your photo and hit edit, and you're going to have all of this stuff come up over here where you saw the background remover, right? They got magic eraser, magic grab, shadows, duotone, colorize. There's just all kind of filters you can play with. One thing you're going to do a lot is adjust. Now you hit adjust, and one thing with Canva, you can hit auto adjust and see how that looks. And you see how it changed it, and you can say, okay, that was a little too intense. You can take it down or to the right. So this is what their computer is saying, you know, we think it should be adjusted this way. You might not like that. All you have to do is hit auto adjust again, and it'll take it back off. Now with this, we took the background off, right? If you've got a background in here, let's put it back on here. Because I want to show you this. One thing before I do that, we'll go through and just look at all these different things. You got the temperature. You can make it warmer, or you can make it colder. So that way, maybe if yours wasn't just right, you can just kind of tweak it a little. You know, I'm showing you the extreme. You're not going to do it that much, but you can just tweak it a little. If the tint's a little off, you know, you don't want to make him look like a Martian or anything. You've got brightness, contrast. So these are all your parameters that you can mess around with. Most of them you want to take the highlights, you know, if anything, take the highlights up a little bit, take the shadows down. That's a trick a lot of them use. And with the whites and blacks, you can do that too. So that's all of your highlights. This is just the whites. So this will make your whites brighter, and you don't want them to get blown out like that. So just looking at it, you'll be able to tell, right? And you can take your shadows and do the same. So you don't want to go too far, just a little. Then you've got vibrance and saturation. So say yours was a little unsaturated, you can go ahead and add a little bit more saturation. Down here you got sharpness, if you need it to be blurred a little bit, if it's like a background object, or if you need to sharpen it a little. You don't want to sharpen it too much, you'll look real pixelated and look kind of funny. Clarity, you've got vignette. I don't use that a lot, but that will add the little darkness around the edges. Alright, and then if you mess around with it and you go, I totally messed it up, by the time you change 6 different things, you can hit reset and it'll go back to the beginning. See, everything's reset back to 0. Now, let's do one more thing. I keep saying one more thing. Up here will be recently used. That's the one we recently used, right? Let's just go down here. Let's get rid of me. Let's put this one in. He's already got a blurry background. But let's just use this as an example. Alright, let's edit it. And I'll show you one more thing on this. when you adjust, here you can pick the whole image, or you can pick the foreground or background. And what the foreground will do is just like when it cut out, like the guy in the front, it'll think that's the foreground, and obviously your stuff in the background. So if you want to change anything, so say the background looks okay, it's blurred out, the green looks okay, and you just want to change just him, but you want the background to stay the same. Click foreground, and it's going to tell you if it can figure out what the foreground and background is. So it says foreground selected. So now if you go in and change things, it's only going to change him, and you can see the background is still staying the same, right? So if you brighten him up, it's just him being brightened up and not your background. So now you can go ahead and change what you need here, and say your background wasn't really blurry, right? And you wanted a blurred background, you can go up here and click background. Now it's changing the background. So say the background needed to be darker. Now see, we just darken the background without darkening him up, right? We can take the highlights down, and we can bring the shadows up, make them, or down, make them a little darker. So see how we're changing all that? Just really fast too. We're just messing around with this. Saturation, we can actually have black and white in the back and just make him colorized. Or you can just take the color down a little bit. Right? Here's sharpness. Now instead of making it sharp, we can actually go blurry. So say it was like a real crisp background and you wanted to blur it out a little bit. That's where you take the background and just blur it out some more. And this is where you can really see the vignette is in the back. So see how it gets dark around the edges. But that's just different things, and if you messed up, reset, back to the beginning. Alright, so I'm going to let you go. That's like a ton of information to get you started, but make sure you're on the free version. If you're not already on the paid version, just get in there, watch what you click. Oh, and we're going to export really quick before you go. Just go up here to the right. Now, this will auto-save most of the time. Everything gets saved if you have an account. And right here you see it says MV, that's our account. You can also hit File up here and hit Save. And we'll go over a lot of this other stuff. So we've got Download right here. So this, when you're done and you need your thumbnail, download right here. And also on the top right, you can hit Share. And different options will come out down here too, and download will be here too. So we won't talk about all these different options right now. But you hit download, and what you're going to want to do is say, for your thumbnail, I usually just do JPEG. Now I'm on the paid version, so I can drag mine up the quality. If you're on the free version, you're not going to be able to do that. But the quality is quite alright on 80%. For select pages, if you want just one, like say you wanted this one, it's page 4. We would go on over and click on this where it says all pages, the down arrow, and see it says all. We would click that off, and then we could either click current page 4 or go down here page 4 and just say that's the only one we want to do, and it'll download one. If you wanted to download all of these to mess around with them later, say you made 5 thumbnails, you could have all of them highlighted, and it would download a zip folder, and then you'd have to unzip it on your computer. So say just one, done, and you hit download, and then a window will open up and ask you on your computer where you want to download it. And we'll see how fast. So it just happened that fast, and now my little window just popped up, and I saved that on my computer. When you're done with that, just click off, and that's done. Alright, so I hope that helps. Like I said, this is just the basics, and there's just so much you can do. This is just making thumbnails on Canva. You can make all kind of different, if you've seen all the different posts that have like inspirational quotes in it, or instructions, or riddles, or whatever. So those little static posts, you can make those on here. You can make lots of them at one time. You can batch, make them in batches. So we'll go over a lot of that stuff in the future. Right now, I just want you guys, if you're a very beginner, you never made a thumbnail before, to go get Canva. Go ahead and use this, the free version. Once you learn a lot of these things that I've shown you, even if you use some of the other softwares that are out there, just like editing, when I show people in Filmora, the same thing. A jump cut is a jump cut. A transition is a transition. When you go to use CapCut or DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro or whatever you have, what have you, it's going to translate over into the other one. So you're learning the basics, and most of the industry uses the same terminology. So go ahead and practice with this. Well, more videos coming out. I hope that helps. Stay creative.